Shalom. All praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham, Rachah Chodash. Yahweh being the name of the Heavenly Father, whom this world ignorantly calls God, and Yahweh Shai being the name of his only begotten Son, whom this world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, in the name of the Holy Spirit. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who rule well, and peace and mercy to the house of David, those men that are doing this work in sincerity and in truth across the four corners of the earth. And much love to the 130 you believers out there. To you all, I say shalom and greetings, and Lord willing, this lesson is edifying through the Spirit. I had a completely different lesson lined up regarding, these bodies and how important getting a new one is. Because Salakia for my delay on my video, my lessons this week, Akim and it's Aquath. Usually through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shema Shah, I be on it, doing my lessons. But this week, I had some, let's say for lack of better terms, a sickness fell upon me, and I was going through it for about 3 or 4 days, and I thought I got better, but then it just came back and got me, and it's been jacking me up, my stomach and in my head. So Tawadi Yahweh Shema Shah, I'm feeling a little bit better now, but I could tell I'm still not out the rough yet, but it's still like the spirit still compelled me. It's like, hey man, you still good enough to do a lesson now. And it's not, the stomach is crazy how the stomach can affect you. You know what I'm saying? It's not like coughing and sneezing. And, it's been something going around, but Esau's always up to something. But we still praise Yahweh Shema Shah all the way. So I didn't want to do it on that. But in the midst of looking for scriptures about a new body, I ran into this chapter, and it made me really want to hone in and do a lesson on this. As because we all try to be the best that we can, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shema Shah. We all have flaws. We all have things we need to work on. And I don't want to make this too long, but I do have a few scriptures, but they pretty easy scriptures. Except this one chapter here, I believe, which I'm going to read a few more verses out of. But obviously this is something that we all have to work on. But I also know I speak to myself, and not that something that's happened in my recently to make me think like, hey, maybe you talking too much. I haven't had that feeling as of late, but I'm not going to act like I don't get that feeling, and then sometimes you just got to learn to be quiet and take the back seat. And I will say, being around elders, being around older brothers, you learn how to deal more with this, peace to the gods, shalom to Elder Tazadakia, Elder Big Gad, up in New York. He recently came and visited down here again. And, the thing is he's and he doesn't like praise. So I'm not trying to do that right now, but, to speak to his character, he's a very humble man, and he's a very knowledgeable and wise man. And so, I always receive great knowledge and understanding when he comes, and this is me just being honest. I'm not trying to, flatter him or praise him. But I do always learn something every time he comes down here, and I grow in the spirit. And I'm thankful to Yahweh Shema Shah for that, and he doesn't, the times I do speak a little bit more freely, he doesn't, I'm becoming more acquainted with him, if you will, in a certain retrospect. I never think of myself on his level or the apostles or elders, never. But he does allow me to speak more freely the more often we see each other. However, I do realize, I know that he's an elder, so I hold my peace and I listen, And so as we do these things, we know that sometimes your mouth can get you in trouble. And I'm not saying that this has happened with him. It's just something I was meditating on, So you got to realize, don't let your tongue get you in trouble. And so I just want to read this chapter, and I want to go through some of these things. But I'm going to start with James, the 3rd chapter. This chapter is what inspired this after reading up on a few things when I was searching for my last video. I'm going to start at the first verse. It says, "My brethren, be not many masters, knowing that we shall receive the greater condemnation." And so I was like, let me look this up in the NLT too, you know what I'm saying? Because we always like to give a little bit more understanding on things. But it says, "Dear brothers and sisters," right? And this is how you know Bible is a masculine book, because he said, "My brethren." But a lot of times you hear the apostles or prophets, you know, or men in the Bible, when they would be addressing certain situation, they were talking to the men, right? But there would be the women in the congregation, you know, just like we do in these epistles online now, right? And actually, let me get something for y'all real quick, because this is the spirit that I just said epistles. I'm also that was just one of our Hebrew word of the day, and Jake done forgot it already, so Salakia. But I do want to be able to properly quote it. Maybe I should just throw it here in the little search thing. You know, it'd be so much info sometimes. But yeah, epistle is makathab, not machathab, makathab with a ka, makathab. Okay, so you know, we put that in these makathabium, right? These epistles. But so then when they're listening online, you know, those sisters, they're not in the church, but they're listening, right? They're not coming out the camp, but they're listening online. So it says, "Dear brothers and sisters." So this lets you know it's a, you know, I'm gonna just keep going. "Not many of you should become teachers in the church, for we who teach will be judged more strictly." And so who are sisters teachers to? First off, right? Sisters are teacher to other women or children, predominantly men that are under the age of 12. Now, is a woman still in this society still going to be guiding her son? Yeah, but you know, really when he becomes a man, you know, it's a man's job to, you know, fully let him excel to the next level. But women are teachers of other sisters and women that are younger. That don't mean they can go out and just be on the highways and byways and just be talking to women. You can't do that either. But some women that you know in your personal life that may be interested in the truth, or young women that come around and ask you why you wearing a head wrap or a skirt, you know. And I don't want to get off topic, but I just wanted to bring that up. But it says, "Not many of you should become teachers in the church, for we who teach will be judged more strictly." And see, that's the thing. So we who teach, we're going to be judged more strictly. The Lord said he's going to start at his house, right? And so the Lord is, if you, it says, "Do not the words of the Lord, handle the words of the Lord deceitfully." So if we go out and we're claiming to be servants of Yahweh Shem Shai, ministers of his word, right? He going to judge us more strictly, because he says if we don't get the blood out of our hands, and we don't warn the people, we're going to have problems, right? He's going to require it at our hand. Right? And so he gonna judge us based on the things that we've said, the things that we've done in his body, how we've he said he's coming back to give every man his reward. So that reward ain't always a good thing. Lord willing, we be those men and receive a righteous and a beautiful reward, but we gonna be judged more strictly. That's why you catch more hell, brothers. You know, that's why you catch more hell, right? It says when you come to serve the Lord, prepare yourself for temptation. Okay, but moving on, it says back in the KJV, "For in many things we offend all. If any man offend not in word, the same is a perfect man, and able also to bridle the whole body." Right? So some of us, we make mistakes, and we say things that, you know, we shouldn't at times, you know. But this is about physical and spiritual discipline, right? You learn a level of temperance. You learn a level of self-control, right? So you gotta, you know, times you make offenses, but that's why we apologize for offenses that we've made, right? Which is shows character of humility from a brother, you know. It says, verse 3, "Behold, we put bits in horses' mouths, that they may obey us, and we turn about their whole body." So, you know, have you ever rode a horse or seen a horse or even watched movies, right? So when you got the horse, they put this small thing in the horse's mouth that he bite down on, that allows you to steer the horse, right? And the straps that you have, those are called steers, you know. So you're able to steer the horse's mouth, which is ultimately going to turn his direction, okay? It's and they're obedient unto that, if you will. It says, behold, also the ships, which though they be so great, and horses are what? Big creatures. You see what I'm saying? But with a small bit, you can control it. It says, behold, also the ships, which though they be so great, and are driven of fierce winds, yet are they turned about with a very small helm, whithersoever the governor listeth. So like you have like a small rudder in the back, or if you like look at olden, even newer boats, but olden boats that have, the thing is like it's a helm or a rudder. They have to steer it. It's like a straight bar, and then you turn it left or right to be able to determine based on the wind flow and where you're trying to go. Right? It's a small thing, but it controls a whole ship. You see? So this Lord is likening these small things that control large vessels. Okay, so this is where the lesson comes in. It says, even so the tongue is a little member, and boasteth great things. Behold, how great a matter a little fire kindleth. You see, so the tongue is a little member, right? You can make grand speeches. You can say things that are important. You can say things that are effective. You can say things that are meaningful, right? We can speak, right, on these highways and byways. The Lord talks about the reason why we out on those highways and byways, because he said he is pleased by our foolish preaching, right? And so we do his will, but we still have to a level of wisdom and balance when it comes to how we speak and what we say and how we speak to people, right? Because now, is it times when the spirit just comes on you, you may snap on somebody? Absolutely. All right. But that's even done in wisdom, right? Because the scriptures say a soft answer turneth away wrath, right? So, that's even when you snap on somebody, you tell somebody the Lord going to destroy, right? Like, there was, you tell a brother, brothers, in your zeal, you come out and you say, Lord gonna kill your ass. You say something like that, it can come off a little bit more harsh, or make somebody feel threatened, if you will. But that don't mean you threaten them. You let them know the Lord threaten them. But some people, we live in an emotional, sensitive society. So dudes that get offended at that. So you can say wise things like, hey, the Lord is going to destroy you, which is really more severe if you really want to know. Because when you think about words, right, to take a man's life, right, the Lord takes a man's life. That's not really it's a death, and his deaths are going to be terrible, of course. But that doesn't not also ultimately mean destroy, right? When you look at, y'all know I'm big into movies, but when you look at somebody that's vengeful and want vengeance, they want to destroy and whole empire. They want to, they want to take your home. They want to hurt your pockets. They want to, destroy your family. So really, destroy is a more impactful word. Instead, it might not be direct, and the Lord, ultimately, the Lord can take your life, and He will if you take that RFID, that C-hip, or if you don't repent, he will take your life. But He can break you down before taking your life. He can take everything first and then take your life. But how you speak to people, it matters. So it says, behold, how great a matter a little fire kindled. And it really just goes to speaking. I'm really going into speaking, on the highways and byways, but speaking amongst brethren. Right? Sometimes you can say things that may be taken the wrong way, and I constantly, brothers, hey, Salakia, if I offended you, because I know sometimes words can get confused, even if you didn't mean to offend, even if you didn't mean ill intent. Sometimes things can be taken wrong. We are dealing with a body of men with different minds and we have the same speech and understanding, but sometimes smaller things can get taken in a different direction. Okay. And so it does say in NLT, but a tiny spark can set a great forest on fire. You see that? So a tiny spark, hey, let that spark jump off into something else and keep growing. It keeps growing. Next thing you know, the whole forest is on fire from a spark, man. Okay. Verse 6, it says, and the tongue is a fire. You see that? A tongue is a fire, a world of iniquity. So is the tongue among our members, that it defileth the whole body, and setteth on fire the course of nature, and it is set on fire of hell. You see? So your tongue is a flame of fire. Your tongue is that spark, right? It's a world. It says a world of iniquity, man. You know, sin and wickedness, that the things that you say, right, that could ultimately defile and corrupt your whole body. Okay, it can set your whole life. Everything, it can change your whole life. Think about it. You in school, right, and you snap on your teacher, you can get suspended. If you at your job and you speak the wrong words, or you talking about sodomites at your job, or you snap on your supervisor, you can lose your job, right? Yeah, you know, even though our women and our children need direction, right? But you say the wrong thing to a woman nowadays, she'll want to leave you, right? And if so, that is what it is. That's the Lord's will. You say the wrong thing to your son, right? He might try to disown you and might not want to come in here, even though that son needs correction. But I mean, this is with balance. You can correct your son, but you got to have balance. You can't just snap on him 24/7. You also got to show him love and compassion, you know? It says, for every kind of beast and of birds and of serpents and of things in the sea is tamed and have been tamed of mankind. But the tongue can no man tame it. It is an unruly evil full of deadly poison. You know, because the tongue is like, if you got, the Lord gave us his mouth, gave us mouths to speak. Okay. And so it is an unruly evil. Now, it said, can no man tame, because at the end of the day, who is the person that inspires your speech? Right? Yahweh Shem Shai. He's the one, if you want something to be said, it's going to come out. Now, the thing is, you got to learn with wisdom and ask the Lord to guide your tongue so you don't say things that are wrong. Right? I got a couple of scriptures too. And maybe the one that I did want, maybe I didn't write it down, that would definitely apply to this situation. You know, oh, that's it. Proverbs 16:1. It says, the preparations of the heart in man and the answer of the tongue is from the Lord. Yahweh Shem Shai, right? But this don't mean that when you just going off saying whatever, you blame it on the Lord, right? It says, say not that the Lord, this is big, blaming the Lord, basically. Saying that this is the Lord's fault that I said this or did that, you know? Now, the answer of the tongue is from the Lord, but this is, you know, usually in the sense that you're trying to give a righteous answer. Now, some people you're going to snap, and sometimes you got to say things. Sometimes you got to get up and Jake to where they going to take heed. That's all it is. And that's why the Lord has us speak to our people in the manner that we do, you know, but we got to walk with wisdom, right? Your tongue is basically a muscle too, right? But your tongue is ultimately a device that stems from the functions of your mind, your lob, your brain, right? So it says the preparations of the heart in man. So preparations of your mind, that's when your tongue speaks. Something that you was thinking about, you know, they got this thing online where they be saying, bro, let his intrusive thoughts out. So you got thoughts that are on your mind that sometimes they spill out, you know, and you like, man, like sometimes you be like, damn, why did I just say that? You know, a slip of the tongue, you say something you didn't mean to. You know, and the scriptures talk about how a slip of the tongue is like falling on pavement, you know. But this is Ecclesiasticus 51:22. It says, the Lord hath given me a tongue for my reward, and I will praise him therewith. So, you know, that's the first reason that you have a tongue. You know, I remember when I used to be in Christianity, they always used to say, which is on point though, you know, technically it's on point, but you know, they just be howling, you know, but they used to say, man, if I had 50 tongues, I couldn't praise you enough. They used to say that, and that's on point. That's true. If we had 1,000 tongues, we couldn't give Yahweh Shem Shah all the praise he deserves, right? He deserves it all. You know, there's no amount of tongues that we can have that his praise is unworthy of, or that we can stop at it. You know, so they were on point with that. But at the end of the day, they do it for vanity. They do it for clout. They do it for to get more money, right? They do it with a false sense of love. But we in this ministry, we do understand that, you know. Shit, man. I ain't saying we wish we had more tongues so we can go out and be having extra tongues in our mouth, but we wish we could ultimately bring more laborers into the harvest, right? You know, more tongues so that we can get up out of here, man. We can praise the Lord more so we can get up out of here, so we can do double and triple the work. If we had 4 or 5 tongues, maybe we can speak and do 4 different lessons at one time, y'all know I'm just, playing in the spirit, if you will. But this is Proverbs 18:21. It says, "Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and they that love it shall eat the fruit thereof." So, hey, death and life, are in the power of the tongue, man. The things that you speak, right? When we out there, we talk about we pressing life and we want Yahweh Bashim Shah to return, right? That's in the power of the tongue. But death is there too. You could say things, right, that condemn yourself, that destroy yourself. There's they say in the world, speak life, because of you, ultimately the things that you say become a reality, right? They become your reality. Okay, so we got to be careful how you speak, what you speak. That's why we want to speak righteousness. Okay, let me go back to James real quick, and then I'm gonna jump to another one. It says, James 3:9. Therefore, bless we Yahweh, even the Father, and therewith curse we men which are made after the similitude of the Most High. It says, out of the same mouth proceeded blessing and cursing. My brethren, these things ought not so be. So ultimately, this is not saying that you can't bless and you can't curse. This is talking about, when it comes to the brotherhood, right? You're not supposed to be putting up curses on brothers or, thinking ill will with your mind and saying things in the dark, man. Like, I don't like that dude, and you can't be like that, man. Now some things. Now I want you to understand. Speaking on a brother's behavior as far as rebuke and what he can do to be better is different than thinking ill will upon a brother, right? A lot of times you say something that sounds bad about a brother. If your heart is in the right place, you're doing it because you know a brother's potential and what he can really do, right? But don't let your tongue get you in trouble. And that's talking about with the brothers, starting with the apostles and the elders on down, but also who first? Yahweh Bashim Al Shah, because you remember the angels report your words, man, the things you say. Hey, but the Lord said He know your thoughts, so you got to even be careful in your thoughts, man. All right. It says, "Doeth the fountain send forth at the same place sweet water and bitter? Can the fig tree, my brethren, bear olive berries, either a vine figs? So can no fountain both yield salt water and fresh." Right? Even you look in the ocean, they got that brackish water where the salt water meets the fresh water, and they like, it's like a wall. They don't intermingle. Okay? So it says, "Who is a wise man and endued with knowledge among you? Let him show out of a good conversation his works with meekness of wisdom." Right? And that conversation is talking about being honor, a manner of life, a conduct. It says, "But if you have bitter envying and strife in your hearts, glory not and lie not against the truth. This wisdom descended not from above, but is earthly, sensual, and devilish." So don't let your tongue put you in a position where you're earthly, sensual, and devilish, or you got bitter envying and strife towards another brother. Okay. This is Ecclesiasticus 37:16. It says, matter of fact, I'm going to jump up with 12. It says, "But be continually with the godly man, whom thou knowest to keep the commandments of the Lord, whose mind is according to thy mind, and will sorrow with thee if thou shalt miscarry." Right? So that's why we go along with brothers that believe in Yahweh Bashim Al Shah, because they know what we're going through. Right? It says, "And let the counsel of thine own heart stand, for there is no man more faithful unto thee than it." Right? You know what you have to do and what you must do, especially pleasing the Lord. You didn't do it. Don't let the counsel of thine own heart stand. But at the end of the day, you got to be wise in taking counsel so you know how to move, especially if it's something that you can't determine. It says, "For a man's mind is sometimes wont to tell him more than 7 watchmen that sit above in an high tower." Right? Sometimes your mind will give you want one direction to go, but your mind will told you, well, you can do this, this, or this. Right? This is where counsel comes in and prayer. It says, "And above all this, pray to the Most High that He would direct thy way in truth." So, if you can't figure it out, pray to the Lord. That's what I'll tell the brothers in a heartbeat. They be like, hey, bro, what we going to do about this? And now, most situations, the Lord has given us the ability to make decisions through the Spirit, right? But at the end of the day, we gotta pray to the Most High that He gonna direct our truth, right? Because I'll be like, hey, Akim, hey, let me pray on it. You know what I'm saying? So the Lord can give you the answer. And it says, let reason go before every enterprise and counsel before every action, right? So to take some brothers got to take more counsel than others. But hey, brother, it's important. Everybody need to take counsel at some point, right? Scripture say out of 1,000, you should have one counselor, So hey, you got to take counsel, brothers. You know, I'm sure even the apostles, right? I know they pray to Yahweh Shem Shah, and I know at times they got to take counsel from each other. You know, and just because you don't see everything put on camera, don't mean that they aren't doing it. But that's through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Shah and using wisdom. And that's what they show us. So we carry these things and we try to be better man through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Shah. It says the countenance is a sign of changing of the heart. It says, for a manner of things appear good and evil, life and death, but the tongue ruleth them over continually, ruleth over them continually, right? Your tongue ruleth over if you do good, right? Your tongue ruleth over if evil things come, life and death. Your tongue ruleth over them continually, so your tongue can make decisions for you that you may not even intend it. You will say something crazy and be like, man, I didn't mean to say that. Forgive me. Your woman had demons on her and be snapping, saying all kinds of ill stuff to you, man. And later on, she'll be like, yeah, babe, I had demons on me. I don't know what's wrong. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said those things. And plus, you don't want to be like an Edomite out here. Edomites, they lie with their tongues. They do deceitful things with their tongues. All right, Psalms 5:9. It says, for there is no faithfulness in their mouth. Their inward part is very wickedness. Their throat is an open sepulcher. They flatter with their tongue. So you got to be careful, like to not be Edomitish, man. They tongue that's how they got deceit. That's how they got over on Gad, man. That's how they do Jake to this day. Even when the old boy came out with the damn, when the C19 jab came out, he's like, you can come in and get you a delicious hamburger or some fries, and look at that. Like, come on, bro. Just using your tongue to be deceitful. Okay? Psalms 39:1, which is a precept of James, the 3rd chapter. He says, this is a psalm of David. He said, I said, I will take heed to my ways, that I sin not with my tongue. I will keep my mouth with the bridle while the wicked is before me. Right? So just like Job said he sinned not at all with his lips, man. So being careful of the things that come out of your mouth, especially towards the Lord. Right? Your tongue was made to praise him. Psalm 71:24, my tongue also shall talk of thy righteousness all the day long, for they are confounded, inside joke, for they are confounded, for they are brought unto shame that seek my hurt. You see, so we talking to the Lord's righteousness all the day long. All of those that come against you, right, they're going to be confounded, they're going to be brought to shame, man. All right. And it says, even being aware of the tongues of others. Proverbs 6:24, it says, to keep thee from the evil woman, from the flattery of the tongue of a strange woman. You see, because a woman, I was watching a video earlier today, this dude was in Havana, Cuba, and he walked up to these two broads, two women. One of them might have been a transformer on a low. It's hard to tell nowadays. But through the spirit, I believe that it might have been. But nonetheless, let's just say they're women for the lack of for the show of the video. But the women was like, they knew he was a tourist. He looked like a Edomite. You know what I'm saying? He was from South Africa. But he was like, yeah, he was like, yeah, he's speaking to him in Spanish. Basically telling them, I'm from out of town and they about to go to a boxing gym. They're like, yeah, you can come back to our house right now. Our house is open and free. And then you look in the comment boards and everybody in there. But the girls, one of the girls was like all over. She's like, come on, baby, come back to the house. Here, take my number. You so sexy. You look good. You look tasty. All this kind of stuff. But she was coming on so strong. It's like, You know, so a lot of women aren't like that. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, basically the driver was trying to keep them away. And a lot of people in the comment board were saying, hey, any woman, especially like in Cuba, if you got a hotel or something, you invite them to your hotel or something. But don't just be going back to her house, because they say people be getting robbed and kidnapped, or come up missing lungs, or they get kidneys taken and organs taken, and they be or drugged in a tub, robbed, you know, all kinds of stuff. So, you know, from the flattery of the tongue of a strange woman, ultimately, you know, going into a doctrine, you know what I'm saying? Because these Christianity is the flattery of a tongue of a strange woman. Islam, you know, all of these are flattery of a tongue of a strange woman. So you don't want to be taken by them either. So being aware of the tongue of other women, right? Strange women. Proverbs 15:4. I know this is way longer than I expected, but it's really through the experience. Yeah, I took this photo at 11:44. Call out. Proverbs 15:4. A wholesome tongue is a tree of life, but perverseness therein is a breach in the spirit. Right? So a wholesome tongue, that's a tree of life. The things that say that are profitable, right, is a tree of life. All right. But when perverse things come out of the tongue, that's a breach in the spirit, and something's just off, man. You know? Proverbs 21:23. It said, whoso keepeth his mouth and his tongue keepeth his soul from troubles. And see, I was just talking to me and Gabar and I, we went to grab some food the other day, and it's supposed to be so-called Pride Month, which is through month, really. But you know, we happen to go out this Mediterranean spot we like to go to. You know, we went and sat outside for a little while, you know, waiting on our food. This was like Sodom night or something, man. Like they blocked off the street, and we didn't realize until we ordered the food and sat down. You know, we sitting down outside, you know, because it's a small spot, you know. So we sitting down outside, and we seeing all these sodomites everywhere, you know. And man, you know, this one dude, I shook my head, but Gabar was like, he looked you right in your face when you shook your head. I was like, man, fuck it, I ain't mean to. It was just a reflex, like, because he looked so through, you know what I'm saying? But he did look me right in my face. But then, you know, sometimes, you know, I told Gabar, like, man, sometimes it's just good to be quiet a lot of times, man. He was like, yep. And Gabar good with that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I've seen him and Quadash, you know, how they move, especially they be hooping. You know, they got a lot of teammates who be, you know, talking shit and all that kind of stuff. You know, and you got different type of brothers. I guess by nature, I am a shit talker. You know what I'm saying? But you know, they go out there and rock the game, but hold their peace. You know, but then dudes be ready to fight and shit. But it's like you keep your soul from troubles by holding your tongue, man. You see? And so you got to know what you saying in season. Things are brought in season, right? You know, so I just wanted to say that. It says, you know, scriptures talk about be slow to speak and swift to hear. Ecclesiasticus 4:29. Be not hasty in thy tongue, and in thy deeds slack and remiss. So don't be hasty to speak. Ecclesiasticus 5:13. Honor and shame is in talk, and the tongue of a man is his fall. You know, so hey man, don't let that be your fall, your tongue, man. All right, Ecclesiasticus 20:6. Some man holdeth his tongue because he hath not to answer, and some keepeth silence, knowing his time. A wise man will hold his tongue till he see opportunity, but a babbler and a fool will regard no time. So, you know, a babbler and a fool just talking. That's all. When we out there on the highways, that's a lesson we see. You'll see a dude come up. We let him say they piece first, so then we know when it's our time to intervene, and it's our time to see what type of manner of man he is and break down all of the strongholds that he's been taught. You know, so the Lord got us keeping silence and knowing when it's our time to say something, right? It's Ecclesiasticus 28:17. It says, the stroke of the whip maketh marks in the flesh, but the stroke of the tongue breaketh the bones, man. You see, that tongue is something else. Hebrews 4:12, man. You know, the soul and the spirit, the words of the Lord. And how is the words of the Lord spoken? Through his men. So the tongue, man. It says, many have fallen by the edge of the sword, but not so many has fallen by the tongue, man. Sheesh. You know, so many men have died by a sword, but many more people have died by the tongue. Even if you want to use that in a literal sense, like dealing with women, you know, a lot of men end up going to jail or putting each other to death because of what? Because of something that a woman said, a woman sparking something. So you gotta be careful out here, man. I got this last verse, and then I'm gonna wrap it up. This goes to all of the false prophets out there, right? This is Jeremiah 23:31. It says, "Behold, I am against the prophets, saith the Lord Yahweh Bashem Shai, that use their tongues and say, He saith." You see, so you got a lot of wicked men out here that are saying, Yahweh Bashem Shai said, or I come in the Lord name of the Lord of Yahweh Bashem, the name of Yahweh Bashem Shai, and you say He said this, Lord said this. All right, well, hey, He said He's against those men. So those tongues are also going to condemn them. The men are saying crazy things, man, that the Bible is completely against, man. Like smoking trees, man. Completely against. You see? But that lets you know that they're false prophets. These men are not men of Yahweh Bashem Shai. So be careful what you say, and be careful receiving things from what people say as well, man. But don't let that tongue get you in trouble. Learn to control it. Learn to discipline it. Pray to Yahweh Shema Shai to guide you. And, may you brothers be blessed through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shema Shai. With that, I want to give all the praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachakodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who rule well. And peace, mercy to the house of David, the elect. Until next time, Shalom.